Greetings and welcome to the Black Doctoral Network's weekly web series, Conversation Starters. I'm your moderator, Dr. Kimberly West, and I am excited that you are joining us as we discuss the importance of mentorship during graduate studies. During this episode, we will discuss the relationship between mentorship and academic achievement, the impact of COVID-19 on the mentorship process, effective strategies for selecting a mentor, and the role of academic institutions in providing mentorship opportunities. Our guests for this episode include current graduate students, individuals who have matriculated through graduate school, as well as individuals who provide support for these students. So, if you know a current graduate student or someone interested in pursuing graduate studies, I invite you to hit the share button so they too can be a part of this conversation. Let's get the conversation started by introducing our guest, and I'm excited about this. Our first guest is Candace Murray. Originally from Detroit, Michigan, Candace is a doctoral candidate currently residing in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her research focuses on the experiences of African American or Black women who are enrolled at a predominantly white academic institution. Candace received her bachelor's in general psychology from Western Michigan University and her master's in applied behavioral analysis from Capella University. Outside of being a doctoral student, Candace is a graduate assistant and a full-time analyst. Candace is also the main creator for the social academic blog, The Student for Life.
Thank you, Dr. West, for having me. I'm so happy to be a part of this panel.
Yes, we're here for you. We're going to get through this and have a great conversation.
Right.
Our next guest is Dr. Barbara Yancey Tuohy. Dr. Yancey Tuohy is an assistant professor in the Department of Joint Interagency, Intergovernmental, and Multinational Operations at the Sergeant Major Academy. She is also a U.S. Army veteran. Dr. Yancey Tuohy is an author and has published a chapter in the book, The Reflective Thinker, Nonprofits, Strategies for Effective Management, and the NCO Journal article, Optimizing Learning Outcomes and Development. She was the NCOL COE Educator of the Year in 2020 and held positions at El Paso Community College, Park University, and the University of Phoenix. Dr. Yancey Tuohy is a founding member of the El Paso Community College Teachership Academy. Welcome, Dr. Tuohy.
Dr. West, thank you so much. It's an honor to be here. I'm really excited.
I am too. Arlesia Malone is our third guest this evening. Arlesia hails from Mobile, Alabama, where she earned her bachelor's and master's degrees in social work from the University of Alabama at Birmingham and the University of Alabama, respectively. Ms. Malone is currently completing her doctorate degree in social work at the Whitney M. Young Jr. School of Social Work at Clark Atlanta University. Ms. Malone's research examines leadership efficacy and leadership activism and the influence of mentor program participation among young African American women. Ms. Malone's future research endeavors will include the perception of the social work profession among other disciplines and its impact on social work practice and the contributing factors to non-adherence among dialysis patients. While completing her PhD, Ms. Malone is currently working in Georgia as a nephrology social worker. Welcome, Ms. Malone.
Thank you, Dr. West. I'm so excited to be here with you guys.
I love all this excitement. I just love it. Next, we welcome Dr. Theo Fowles. Dr. Fowles is a two-time graduate of the University of Southern California, earning his BA in the Critical Studies of Cinema and Doctorate of Education at the Rosser School of Education. His research explores how former foster youth use social media at institutions of higher learning with a broader interest in learning how to integrate entertainment, social media, and academics to create leaders inside and outside of the classroom. Dr. Fowles is especially focused on supporting students of color, and his expertise has created pathways in K-12, higher education, and nonprofit spaces. Dr. Theo, as his students know him, was born in New York raised in Chicago, in the Chicago area, and now calls Los Angeles home. He is a proud member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. Welcome, Dr. Fowles.
Thanks for that introduction, Dr. West. Glad to be here.
All righty. Our final guest this episode is Dr. Andrea Blue. Dr. Andrea Blue hails from Baldwin, Michigan. She is a mentor, personal and business coach, entrepreneur, author, and educator. Dr. Blue's educational background includes a doctorate of management and organizational development in higher education organizations from Colorado Technical University, and 2 master's degrees, including one from Ferris State University in business administration and career technical education with a focus on management, business, and education. She is the founder and CEO of BJ Enterprises, LLC, where Blue Pathways, Educational Mentorship Services, and Paramount Recruitment Agency were birthed. Both businesses are dedicated to helping students, parents, school leaders, business owners, and organizational leaders develop a plan for success for themselves and for others. These plans emphasize mentorship, where career, education, employment, entrepreneurship, professional, personal, and workforce development is the focus. Dr. Blue enjoys working with startups, small or mid-sized businesses, large corporations, and nonprofits. Plans are designed to increase student retention rates and decrease student dropout rates with Brown and Black individuals and underprivileged and underrepresented populations. She is excited to work with all global and community members that are connected to the mission and vision of BJ Enterprises, LLC. Dr. Blue is a CASA, or court-appointed advocate for children of Kent County, and a mentor for Affinity membership. Dr. Blue currently serves nonprofit organizations where she connects with the community of Grand Rapids, Michigan, and makes global connections to transform the lives of individuals. Welcome, Dr. Blue, to our conversation this evening, and I want to welcome everyone. I hope you all are excited. I think I can tell you're excited to get the conversation started, right?
Definitely.
All right, so my first question I'm going to pose to you this evening is, how would you describe the relationship between mentorship and academic achievement? And I think we'll start this conversation by going to Dr. Yancey Tuohy.
For some reason, I knew you would start that question with me, and I think that's excellent. Because I wanted to let you know that I called in a helpline already. I reached out to my niece, who just finished her PhD recently from Liberty University. And the bottom line is, she says that students seek to understand. They're not looking for a handout. So what is that relationship? The relationship is that you actually increase academic achievement by nurturing students and meeting them where they're at, finding out what their goals and aspirations are, developing those relationships, telling them and teaching them how to form relationships so that that becomes a pattern of behavior that not only they feel comfortable with and they develop trust with you, but they carry that forward as they are seeking to mentor others.
So what I think I hear you talking about is it takes some time, right?
It takes time.
Yeah. All right,
Yes.
Ms. Malone. Yes, Ms. Malone, what do you say about the relationship between mentorship and academic achievement?
Well, first, definitely agreeing with what your niece said, but in addition to that, definitely want to emphasize that accountability that comes with that mentor-mentee relationship. Mm-hmm. And I can speak as a millennial saying that we definitely appreciate that accountability, whether it's a student or a professor. And I think the relationship also nurtures the mentor in the student. So then that can give them opportunities to kind of pass it back, right?
Yes, because it's a two-way relationship, right? Exactly. It is. All right. Dr. Blue, what do you think? As someone who provides mentorship services, what do you think is that relationship between mentorship and academic achievement?
Hello, everyone. Greetings on this day. First of all, forgive me if my computer lags a little bit. I probably need to restart it. But look, Mentorship it starts with the heart and the mind, the body and the soul. So you can't start giving me academics if you're not figuring out what's going on with me internally first. So that's why, mentorship is so important. You can't start feeding me a whole bunch of stuff without figuring out what's going on with me in my environment, what's going on with me, emotionally. I may show up to class every day, but what's going on with me? So I believe that with mentorship, it's so important to meet with our individuals one-on-one just to find out, look in with them, connect with them, make sure that they know that they have a friend, not a friend, but they have a confidant, someone that is supporting them, whether they are local or, at the school or away. So yes, academics are important, but also the person is important.
All right. Yes. I would agree with that. Miss Murray, what do you think? What do you think about this relationship between these two dynamics?
So I want to circle back to what Arlicia said. Accountability, 100%. Like that is a huge thing. I have friends that are on the PhD journey as well that are still doing the required coursework, but because of, the lack of interaction with the instructor, they're looking for someone to help guide them in the right direction. However, you can't put it all on that instructor. You have to take some type of accountability as well, to make sure you're getting to where you want to get. Like, you want to complete your PhD, cool. Make sure you're like doing the necessary work. You're holding yourself accountable. You're holding whoever you consider a mentor accountable. That way you can hit those goals or those milestones that you want to achieve during the process.
Yes. I think that accountability, as you both have brought up, is very important, right? You have to have someone who's going to help you get there, and you need somebody to say, let's kind of double check in with you to see if you're making your goals.
Yeah, like you can't at this level, you can't have anybody like hold your hand. Like you need to do the work too. Mm-hmm. So I mean, the accountability goes both ways, which I believe that's what Arlicia was saying.
And then that's your baby, right? Yeah. And then I think there's a shift between coursework and then going into your qualifying exams or comprehensive exams, whatever they're called. And then there's kind of like a transition. Mm-hmm. And I know that a lot of my classmates and cohorts can say that, okay, this is different. We're used to having that, structure. And that's a transition that a lot of students kind of struggle with. So that is where I think a marriage between that achievement post coursework and getting into the dissertation phase kind of comes in.
Yeah, and I think like even at the level that we all are at or have been at, they, even as you're going through like qualifying exams or comp exams, like they're still expecting to be like handheld. So as they're going through that process, they're like, well, why didn't they just tell me that? Well, one, you're at the PhD level. So that first and foremost, like definitely get that through, because unless it's like something, for me personally, if it's something that is related to my study or I need like assistance with as far as getting like recruitment and everything and IRB approval, I will make sure I do the work. That way I can present it to my mentor, my chair, and say like, this is what I found. This is why I want to stick with the theoretical framework, things of that nature. But it's like, well, I wasn't told that. Well, okay, I understand, like, to a certain extent, like some instructors are not going to give you the answers. Yeah. But at the same time, you need to hold yourself accountable and do the work yourself to get those answers. And then when they question you, you have the data, you have the proof, you can present it to them and you can justify your case. Yes. So accountability, to me, that's like the main thing that goes in the relationship as well when it comes to mentorship and academic achievement. Yeah, Jade doesn't bark again. So sorry.
I told you, we told you that's just the amen, ma'am. That you're Let's get Dr. Fowles in on the conversation. What do you think? How would you describe the relationship between mentorship and academic achievement?
So, before we got on the pathway to degrees, I'm going to take it all the way back to the very beginning, right? And I'm looking at the question, and it says, what's the relationship between the two? And, I'll just say that there's a direct correlation between your academic achievement and the mentorship that you receive, right? So if I'm thinking about, I'm in middle school, the first teacher that really put me on a path to really great academic achievement was someone that was looking out for me, told me how to turn in papers without them being wrinkled, right? And that set a standard for me in terms of how, I wanted to present myself academically, right? So, I look at, once I did get to the collegiate level and then go into the doctoral level, there's a few professors that were looking out for me and said, hey, we're trying to get you to this level. What do we need to do to get you there, right? And I think that mentorship takes, many forms. We talked about some professor student relationships, right? But for me as well, I'm looking at, peer mentorship, people that are alongside of me that are going to be my colleagues in the space, and I'm learning from them as well. So, the correlation between the social capital that I'm building with my colleagues, how I'm presenting at conferences, that all directly relates to, the mentorship that I'm receiving, between my peers, my professors, and then, what that looks like when the final paper is written, the final book is pressed, and all of that. So, to me, you can't have one without the other. And so I'll leave that there for general thoughts, but yeah, I want to take that broad.
I'm coming to you, Dr. Blue. I think you bring up some good points too, in that mentorship doesn't always have to be someone in the professorate, right? That can be someone who is your peer, who is someone who you are engaging with probably more regular than your chair or any of your professors to say, help me out here, right? Dr. Blue, what are you going to add?
Well, I was just giving Dr. Theo some snaps because, as I'm saying, mentorship is everything to us. It means so important. It doesn't start with just our instructors. It starts from the very beginning when we are in the younger grades, and it goes up, And I wanted to just add that a lot of times we want, as when we're completing our degrees, we're not slowing down and doing things because we don't want to do the work. Sometimes we want to make sure that we're doing it correctly because there is an expectation at the doctoral level that any degree that you don't want to fail, you don't want to mess up, you want something that is going to cause shame or make you have to start over again. So a lot of us, we're not looking for someone to give us the answers, but we have just that fear of failure because we've come too far. We don't mess up and not graduate. So that's why a mentor is so important. And that's exactly why I do this work, and kudos to you, Dr. Theo. Thank you for that.
Yeah. And again, too, and I think what I hear just with your comments, I hear the accountability. I kind of hear that whole Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? You can't get one without the other. So you can't, teach me anything, unless you feed me first, right? And so I hear that through this conversation. And I think that's something to consider. And that, as you said, and as everyone kind of alluded to, we don't want you to give us the answers, right? We don't want you, but we need some guidance along the way, especially if you're a first generation, right? Yes. Especially if you have been and no one has ever told you. And I think, as Dr. Fowles said, that's kind of where that peer mentorship comes into play too, right? So, so let me just add another kind of, drop. I don't know if you've heard about this topic. I think everybody has been talking about this. I mean, at least this past year, right? Maybe you've heard of it, but that COVID-19 thing. So, it's a topic, it's going around. Well, it's really going around, but I don't want to say it like that. So how would you, or how has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the mentorship process? We'll start with you this time, Dr. Fowles.
So for me, I think that COVID and the panini, as I like to call it, it's gone by various names these days. I think it's opened up a whole new opportunity, right? It's created a real flattening of the space, right? So for me, sometimes I'm in my university bubble, right? I'm within the walls of the school that I'm working with, and now it's forced not only the university to think outside those barriers, right, in serving students, but also like I'm on LinkedIn every day trying to connect with folks and see what they're doing, or I'm on Twitter, part of hashtags, following them and seeing what's going on. And so it's forced us to kind of think outside those normal bubbles of academia, to work with community-based organizations. And I think that for me has sped up my search for mentors, my ability to assist and mentor others. I'm here in LA, but now I'm talking to everyone here that's on with us tonight, right? And so another form of mentorship that just a year ago, not too many folks were doing. So for me, I think that it's like many things, it's pointed out the fact that we put up barriers that really don't need to exist. We can surmount the barriers through technology, and the digital divide is a whole separate can of worms. But there is opportunity there for us to look at mentorship in a different way. So I'll just leave it there for someone else to pick up.
All right. So Dr. Yancey, as someone who's also in the higher ed space in the position of a professor, how has COVID-19 impacted mentorship process? How do you think it's impacted?
It has been a very positive impact in that it gives us all the time to kind of stop, fall back, regroup. And it's a very needed time for much reflection. And I think it's a good time where we need to take a look at our own emotional intelligence, because I like the positive things that Dr. Fowles says. But when we think about our emotional intelligence, whatever stresses we may be going through, we need to remember that our students are experiencing their stresses in their flat spaces, as Dr. Fowler had brought up as well. We need to keep that in mind, as well as be able to connect and continue to do the emails, to do the connecting, and make sure that we maintain those relationships. Because COVID, on the other hand, what has it done to impact people who may not be as strong as we are? What is the opposite effect that it may have on individuals who may fall behind and they don't even know how to reach out? It's reaching those individuals at that point where they may not have the ability to overcome and be as strong as we are in reaching those opportunities and seeing outside of that bubble. So I think that process has been positive, but we need to be able to balance that with our own emotional intelligence and not putting negative vibes in that space, because all of us are going through so many different things at one time.
Yeah, I like how you put that positive spin on there. Again, taking it to a level of positivity. Again, because it is a lot of stressors, and I like that social emotional intelligence. Being able to think about where you are in this space, right? Even as the mentor, sometimes people think that you have to be the strong person all the time. This is not the time. You might not be able to be, right? So let's see what our current graduate students have to say. How has Miss Murray? How has the COVID-19 pandemic impacted the mentorship process, in your opinion?
You know what? It honestly, it hasn't impacted it negatively. I would definitely say it's been more positive than anything. My dissertation chair, she has been amazing. She's constantly following up, making sure I'm good, especially as I was dealing with some family situations over the last year. She made sure that she was reaching out. She made sure she was sending over articles that would be beneficial to my dissertation.
Nice.
Even in the corporate world where I'm a full-time analyst, my mentor there, or mentors, they have been more than willing to make sure I'm good, make sure they're providing the support, make sure they're providing like that positive but constructive feedback in order for me to go to the next level. So I would say for me personally, the pandemic has not been a huge negative impact on the process of like the mentorship and the relationship and everything. But I do make it a point to reach out to my learners and say, I understand, you know, this, I don't like it either. I don't like going through the pandemic. But, you know, I am here to support you. Let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you have, you know, questions or concerns about being a grad assistant or a teaching assistant or like the PhD journey and what I went through with comps, things like that. So during the pandemic, because I understand people don't respond the same way as I do. I'm an introvert 100% for the most part. So the pandemic is completely fine. I don't like not being able to go out, but the fact that some people are struggling worse than me, and not having that social interaction, not being able to travel for, you know, their program and everything, I make sure I put myself out there and say, what can I do to help you? Who can I get you in contact with? What can we do to make this experience a better one for you? And then like what long-term academic wise, like what do you want to do? And like let me know and I'll connect you to the correct people and we'll go from there. So I mean that it's more positive than negative as far as the pandemic goes on my end.
Yeah, no, and that's great to hear, right? Because I don't think, you know, with the pandemic, we've heard a lot of negative things, right? Or felt a lot of negative things. And so it's good that you can have some people in your corner, right? To be there, to bring you out, to just even check on you, because sometimes that even means a lot. Ms. Malone, what about you? How has COVID-19, how's the pandemic impacted your mentorship process?
Yeah, I think it definitely has exposed some things, and kind of in the line of what everybody else has said. As a result of that, it has brought up better and more varied ways to connect, to have that connectedness, and also making sure the quality is there. I was having that conversation with, I think, one of my committee members, in just having more quality in the connectedness in those relationships. And I think that kind of is being forced across the board, but definitely in the mentorship process. We're being forced to connect, you know, more virtually, and, you know, even just increase our virtual presence, and where we didn't have to do that before. You know, we could meet in person and then, you know, have that conversation. Now we're meeting on all these digital platforms. And I think that exposure has allowed us to kind of meet that challenge. And then it's kind of opening doors that weren't there before.
Yeah. And you know, and I think, and I'm honestly glad to hear thus far, both you and Candace say these are positive things, because, you know, pursuing a doctorate, I often tell students who are interested in pursuing a doctorate or who have just started the process, it can become very lonely and isolated, right? Because you may be the only person working on that particular thing. And so to know that, you know, there are people there who are in your corner, or as Candace is saying, sending her articles, you know, that is a good thing, that you still have that connectedness to people, right? And so, Dr. Blue, as someone who provides mentorship services, how has the pandemic impacted that mentorship process for you?
I must be very candid that it has really, I'll say two caveats. One is for my students. It has really kind of exposed the fact that there are so many disparities with our students, and the lack and needs that our students, especially our students of color, you know, where they have been just kind of, you know, yeah, there are some issues and we're going to do some things about it. Now it's in basis of the administrators, and things have to be taken care of in order for our students to really thrive. And then on the other side, for me, for my business as a business owner and a mentor, it has really been an opportunity to meet people that I probably wouldn't have talked to before, probably wouldn't have talked to before. And really finding some authentic and having authentic conversations instead of, just talking about business, where it's really turning into some real virtual coffees and having some real conversations about, hey, how are you doing over there? Are you okay mentally? How's your heart? How's your mind? How's your body? What you're doing about your soul? How are you connecting? So those things, they do matter. Yes, like I said before about the academics, yes, that's important. Don't get me wrong. Academics are very important. But if you're not okay on the inside, then to me, that's not going to matter. You're not going to be able to show up authentically. So mentorship will forever be around. And I love the work that I do. So it doesn't feel like work. And we know that there's so much more to do. So I'm excited about, yes, the COVID has brought a lot of things, but it hasn't stopped anything. We can't afford to stop. We must continue.
And Dr. Fowles, I know we started the conversation or this question with you. Is there anything else you would like to add? Any other thoughts as you listen to the other guests?
Yeah, I was thinking that as everyone was talking that, for me, COVID has just been a magnifying glass of the good and the bad, right? So if you were already, for example, if you were already on somebody's committee and you were active, right, you were probably trying to be more active because you felt the distance, right? But I know for sure some of the grad students that I've worked with previously have said, hey, I didn't have that much contact. Now that gap is even larger, right? And so for me, I think that those disparities were definitely shown, but I think that one of the things that I'm thinking about is that this whole process just shows that mentorship overall is a verb and an activity, right? That you have to do things on both sides of the coin, whether you're the mentee or the mentor, like it has to be an active role in making things happen, right? So I think those are some of the things that I was thinking.
Yeah. And the good, bad, and ugly of COVID is exactly as you said, I think. It's a magnifying glass for a lot of things. It has shown us a lot of things. In some regards, it has shown us who we are and given us some things to think about who we should aspire to be and could be. And so thinking about, even though I'm glad to hear there's been some positivity related to this. I want to start with Ms. Malone for this question, but what are some challenges involved in obtaining mentorship opportunities?
I would say the first challenge is probably just establishing what it is you're looking for and making sure that you can communicate that clearly. And I think as if you're going to consider yourself the mentee, I think because of the power dynamic there, it's kind of a struggle sometimes for students to say, this is what I need. So I think if you can kind of jump that hurdle first to say, these are my needs, this is what I'm expecting, this is what I would like to see in our relationship, and understanding that it's a two-way, it's reciprocal. It's not just, I'm getting something from you, but, what can I do for you as well?
Right. And so, Dr. Tooks, what do you think? What are some challenges do you think that are involved in mentorship?
Sometimes we might have to ask ourselves, really, am I as motivated as I need to be given our pandemic situation? Am I really forcing myself or am I doing the nurturing by providing the goal setting that my mentee needs? Am I actually effectively matched with my mentee? Maybe there are people who have the expertise outside of what I think I'm giving, and the mentee doesn't know how to ask those questions, and maybe I don't know how to ask them. And am I providing enough open feedback? And again, to your point, am I providing the structure? We expect a lot of things in a virtual environment. I plop you up on Zoom. I expect you to push this button, go to this link. You're supposed to know how to download Chrome, but there's another skill set that comes along with all of this that we do in this environment. And sometimes our expectations are beyond even the smallest things that we take for granted because we're in this teaching environment. And am I not only providing the structure, but am I actually tracking the success or outcomes that my mentee actually needs? So what do I need to do? There's that self-reflection again. Am I doing enough to be accountable, to make my mentee feel that they are empowered so that they can have the direction that they actually need? Those are some of the challenges that I thought about.
Oh, all right. Yes. I mean, yeah. So I think in this regard, you kind of have to know yourself, right? You have to know what you need coming to the table, and be honest about that. And so I'm going to pose a question to Dr. Fowles. What do you think are some effective strategies to implement when selecting a mentor?
So I think one of the things that, again, I think has been already said, looking at what you want in a mentor, but I think effective strategies to that end are really figuring out the difference between a mentor, an advocate, a champion, right? Because for me, when I think about a mentor, that's someone that I can go to their office or get on a Zoom chat. I can close the door and I can tell them like the good, the bad, the ugly, like this is what's going on,
Yes, sir.
right? So you can't do that with everyone. So you'll have some folks for that. You can have one person, you can have more than one person. It depends, right? But then you could have a champion, right? And the champion is the one that has the seat at the table, that has the power to say, like, here's an opportunity, and this student, all I know is that they're excellent, right? And they're gonna push you on the pedestal and be the forefront. So sometimes your mentor can be that person, but sometimes it's separate. And so I think that like sitting down and thinking about those processes is one thing to do. And then I think the other thing is to figure out, what those connections are going to be. I think we've talked about a little bit, staying in contact with people and making sure that those connections are solid.
Right.
So for me, like, how am I going to stay in contact with this person? Is it phone calls? Is it through Zoom? Are we going to text? How deep are we going to go? And so I think that establishing those type of relationships are key in the development process. So kind of understanding who you are and bringing that to the table as well.
What do you think, Ms. Murray? What do you think are some strategies that, to implement when selecting a mentor?
Okay, Jade started barking, so I apologize. Honestly, finding common interest was an effective strategy for me, especially when it came to underrepresented populations, whether it was like racial or ethnic, gender, whatever the case may be. Like finding those who were passionate with their research, as well as like having interest in what I was researching as well. They have also, those individuals that I've connected with, they've connected me with other people who are like breaking it down even more with different populations and saying like, this is what you should look for. This is how you should go about it. This is what you should. I apologize. She's making her way back in the room. But just finding like, I guess, your circle, for lack of a better term, in order to develop that relationship with mentors, to connect with other people that would be peer mentors. I was fortunate enough to have the experience that I did at Western Michigan University, which is where I got my bachelor's, where they already had the MLK Academy, which is for like underrepresented racial populations, and connect us with each other, whether it was aviation, psychology, biomed, whatever the field was, they connected us in some way, shape, or form. And regardless of the field, they said, this is what you should go to. These are the events that you should look for. These are the organizations that you should participate in. These are like the people that you should reach out to get that feedback, especially when it comes to like publications or depending on the level of degree, like this is how you should write. This is what you need to look for. This is what you need to incorporate. So I think really finding the people that understand you, your purpose, your research, what you want to do. I think that is a huge thing when it comes to being effective in your strategy. In social media, that helps a lot, definitely. Because, I mean, Dr. West, just from the meetings on Mondays, I hear so much and I learn so much, and they provides like feedback, whether you all know it or not, and how to actually pursue certain things. So um, that would be how I would pursue like effective strategies, is just finding your people,
Yeah,
regardless of avenue.
I think that's a good way to put it. Find your people, right? So, and Dr. Blue, what strategies would you recommend that people implement when selecting a mentor?
I definitely would encourage anyone to select a mentor that is in your field, someone that you can see yourself doing something similar. So um, don't be committed to only choosing a person of color or a woman or a man. Find an area of someone that is doing something that you can see yourself in. Don't put yourself into a box because you think that someone else will look at you differently. If you want to go into aviation or something like that, make sure that you are connecting with whoever that is. They can be, it doesn't matter. Make sure that you are connecting with someone in that field. And also, when you're completing your doctoral degree, make sure that you see yourself continuing the work in this field. So I did my doctoral degree on mentorship, and I want this degree to pay me back. You're going to pay me back degree.
Absolutely.
So therefore, my dissertation was all about mentorship. I never wavered. I never strayed. Everything that I do is connected to mentorship, and every dollar that I make, I am putting it back into this business because this is what I wanted to do. There are going to be challenges, just like with anything, but don't stop. Keep going because you can do this work and make sure that it matters.
Yeah, and I like how you said. I think you also said some really good things. Find your people, and then as you said, Dr. Blue, don't put your ideal mentor in a box, right? Or don't think you want something and maybe miss an opportunity because you have your vision focused on someone else or something else. And so this is a question I've been really wanting to get to. Do you think that there are disparities present for African American students in the mentorship process? So I'm going to say that one more time, as they say in church, right? Do you think there are disparities present for African American students in the mentorship process? I think I saw some hands go up. Anybody's hand? Was that Dr. Blue? Yeah, go right ahead. Go right ahead.
Huh?
I said, go right ahead. You already get the hand back. Go ahead.
Yes. Yes, and absolutely yes. There are some disparities because I'll tell you what happened with me. I had a male African American mentor, and he had my stuff for about 6 weeks. I tell you, when I tell you he didn't do anything with it, and then I connected with someone else that was not a African American male, may I say, and within 2 weeks I was on to my next step. There are some disparities just because I'm brown that I have to work with only brown people. Don't get me wrong. We are amazing. We are magnificent individuals. We are powerful. We are full of strength. But some of us don't know what the heck we're doing. And we need to really say that when you don't know what you're doing and you're a mentor and you're trying to help students because they're trying to finish. They're trying to graduate on time so they don't have to give Uncle Sam any more money. So if you don't know as a mentor what you're doing, you need to just say, I don't know what I'm doing, because I was intentional about completing my program out of the 4 years within 3 years, which I did. So when I let that other mentor go, I was able to, do it a little bit quicker. So I'm saying to you, yes, there are some disparities. I'm not going to get into the color thing because that could be with anybody. But I'm saying that but as people of color, we need to really realize that there are some amazing people, because my best mentor was a little Caucasian lady from a country, you know, from a different country. So, you know, it wasn't someone that looked like me, but she helped me, and I would never forget her. Kudos to you, Linda Travis, if you're here listening to me today. So, just know that the work that you're doing is yeah, there's going to be some disparities. There's going to be some things that's not going to make you feel so good, but so what? It's just like being in the work field. You're not going to always feel great about it, but is there passion and purpose connected to it?
And I think I hear Dr. Yancey Tooks agreeing with you there. What do you have to say, Dr. Yancey Tooks?
I say absolutely yes and yes. I will tell you that my third mentor was the charm. But I just took some notes here, and I think that mentoring relationships are especially important for racial minorities who often lack the access to informal networks, as well as the information that is needed to be successful in academic and professional environments. And because, as you say, you don't have to pick someone of color necessarily, but that's because the people of color may be underrepresented, but not to focus on that. Also, the lack of mentors for minority graduate students is important because the potential impact with this experience also leads to their retention and success. That's what I have to say about that. Yes, absolutely, there are disparities. The third mentor was the charm for me.
I can say been there, done that. I want to throw this question in before we run out of time. That's a true story, but it's not about me tonight. So
I know, right?
I'll say about that, but been there, done that. All right, so Dr. Fowles, I want to come to you for this question quickly. What is the role of academic institutions in providing mentorship opportunities for graduate students?
So I think for me, I talk a lot to my students about creating space and place. And so for me, the academic institution is responsible for helping to create the space and place for these relationships to happen, right? Like I was saying earlier, this is an active opportunity, right? And so there may be mentors on your campus. There may be folks that you meet online, but the key part is that you have to be actively pursuing or seeking or being involved so that you can get to that mentor number 3, if that's the person, right? if you never take those steps to have that process, then this is not going to work out. And so I think that the responsibility of the institution is just to be aware that these processes need to take place and be actively involved in making those things happen, right? If your institution, doesn't have the ability to do that, maybe they're referring you to outside organizations like, the network that we're a part of right now, like as we're producing this show, right? So, being aware of those resources and saying, hey, we lack this, but here's a resource for you. So I think that's the institution's kind of responsibility in that.
Yeah, and I see. I was thinking too. Did you want to tap into the disparities part for African American students?
Yeah, I think the biggest disparity that I was thinking about as folks were talking was just I'm thinking about double consciousness. I'm thinking about the additional pressures that we have as students, right? When we're trying to get mentorship, it's because, man, I got to get this right because I'm representing everybody, right? Or I'm doing these different things. And so for me, I think that that's a big factor in the way that, a lot of students perceive, how they're getting mentorship and for what reasons. And so I think that, what I tell students all the time is to, and also the lifting as recline phrase. I'm like, man, some of y'all is heavy, And so I tell people to fill themselves up right before they go and mentor someone, right? And so we can all mentor at different points, right? But sometimes we can't, move forward until we let some things go. So just know when it's time for you to get some mentorship, when it's time to let go of being a mentor, those type of things as well.
Right. And so thinking about this experience, thinking about your affiliation with the Black Doctoral Network, How has your affiliation with the Black Doctoral Network helped to enhance you personally and or professionally? And so I think I'm gonna start off with Ms. Murray. She kind of alluded to it a little bit earlier.
Yes. So I'm a part of I'm a part of 2 committees for the BDN, and I apologize. I don't know what's going on outside, but just hearing all these professionals talk about their experience and different topics that their research is focusing on, different research articles, whether they publish them or not, and like it sparks something in me as we're having this conversation. And to me, I see my committee peers. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry.
Okay, it's called life, right? Stuff happens.
Yeah, basically. But I see my peers within these different committees like as mentors too, because they provide different insights for how to approach certain topics, how to approach certain events, or even like something that is related to my specific research interest when it comes to my dissertation. So I would say that the BDN has definitely exposed me to new mentors, whether they know they are one or not, and are helping me professionally as well as personally with how to address certain topics, how to research them, how to apply them into real life scenarios. So I love it here. That's all I have to say.
Yes, yeah, and keep learning, right? Keep an open mind, keep growing. Absolutely. Ms. Malone, what about you? How has BDN helped to enhance you professionally or personally?
Yes, Black Doctoral Network has definitely given me this safe space, right? So I definitely appreciate that first. And then just being among persons such as yourself, just seeing what you guys have all accomplished, it challenges me. And I accept the challenge. And also being able to connect to people and see that, okay, I need to connect to Dr. Blue. I need to connect to Dr. Yancey. I definitely need to connect to Dr. Fowles and Dr. West, because I see that you guys have similar interests as what I am studying. So definitely appreciating this safe space and seeing people like me in other fields. And I'm like, wow, okay. And I accept the challenge.
Yes, I like how you said it. I accept the challenge. Yes. Yes. Dr. Yancey Tooks, what about you?
Yes, absolutely. And I just want to relate back to something Dr. Fowles said earlier. And he talked about our earlier conditioning and those people that saw something in us. But I did want to just mention that people mentor us without us even knowing it. So we see that person over there, we kind of grab those characteristics that we like. I like the way that she's doing that. She has the conversation. He has the conversation that I need. My goodness, I was unaware of that. So this network has increased my awareness, but I am trying to push so many people who have been left out of any type of informal networks, as to going back to one of your previous questions, and pushing them toward the Black Doctoral Network so they can have that sense of space and know that they are not alone in their mentorship.
Yes, yes. I agree with you 110%. Dr. Blue, what about you? How has BDN helped you professionally and or personally?
Oh, well, the Black Doctoral Network it has been a place for me to be, continue my to be authentic and not have to be fake, because that's not me. So I am able to, also share my platform and be able to continue to do the work and know that the work that I'm doing is connected to Black Doctor Network, so that, we can continue to help other people, because mentorship is important. And especially if you're talking about a topic that is connected to something that I'm so near and dear to, as such as mentorship, I'm all aboard, that. And I will definitely, continue to tell other people about this, because we know that getting your doctoral degree is not easy. It is difficult at times, but a place like this is an opportunity for us to continue to build together. So,
Yes. Yes, I'm hearing some great things. Build together, be authentic. Dr. Fowles, can you round us out tonight, sir, with your this how the BDN network has helped enhance you personally and or professionally?
Sure. So I think the thing that comes to me is platform, right? And so we're all getting advanced degrees or having an advanced degree, and we put down thoughts. Those are theories, and we want people to hear what those theories are, and we want them to put them into practice. And so for me, BDN has been a place where I can present, I can be on a podcast, I can be on a show and share the hard work that I've done in terms of my research, right? Where in other places it may take me longer to get to the door and get to the platform, and I can say, hey, I've already had these experiences within BDN that will allow me to go into other portions of my network, and feel validated and feel supported and feel like I've connected. And so, BDN is a place where I've been able to do that and continue to share my thought processes while helping to support folks as they continue their journey as well.
Right. I love, I enjoy being a part of BDN. And I concur with everything that everyone has said. And so I want to thank you for such a wonderful and rich conversation tonight. And I would like for you to tell our viewers where they can learn more about you and get in contact with you. Dr. Yancey Tuohy, can you tell everyone where they can get in contact with you?
Absolutely. My email is byancyto@gmail.com. And you can also Google me. You can Google me and you'll find me at my, where I currently work at the United States Army Sergeants Major Academy.
Wonderful. Dr. Blue, where can people get in touch with you?
You can email me at Dr. Blue Mentorship Matters, because it does, at gmail.com, or you can visit my website at bluepathwaysmentorshipservices.com.
All right. Thank you so much. Dr. Fowles?
So you can go to staymotivatedandrisetogether.com. You can find me on LinkedIn, easy to find there. And those are the two best ways to get in touch with me.
Miss Murray, what about you?
Sorry, I'm making sure she doesn't bark again. You can reach out to me at the Student for Life on Instagram. And then if you would like to, you're more than welcome to reach out to me at thestudentforlife.org and submit like a contact form. And I will get a notification and respond as soon as I can.
And last but definitely not least, Ms. Malone, what about you? How can people get in touch with you?
Yes, please follow or connect to me on Instagram at Miss Malone AHM. Thank you.
Thank you. So I want to say thank you again for such a wonderful conversation. I hope that those who have watched and will watch in the future will, take these nuggets that you all have shared with us tonight as they consider or are in the process of pursuing their graduate studies. And so I invite our audience to please like and share this conversation starters, as well as follow us on all of our social media channels. I'm Dr. West, and again, I am just delighted to be here with you this evening, and I invite you to come back next Friday and join us for another Conversation Starters.